Good evening, my friends. We got a very awesome show planned for you today. We got Dr. Emily Zarka Ph.D. joining us. We're gonna be talking about all kinds of monsters, maybe some of our dreams that we've been having. Keisha's running a little late, so we'll get this party started. And we have another great guest joining us. So, ah, it's going to be a fun show. All right, and before we show our guest, I will have to say Heather isn't going to be joining us on Cryptic Crunch. She got picked up by another network, so I, I wish her very well. Great on her success. So I'm very proud of you, Heather. All right. So I needed a sexy co-host to join me, so I called up the Geek Gumshoe.
Boom! Welcome to the B team.
So thank you for joining me last minute.
Glad to be here, even though basically I'm substituting for somebody that became wildly successful and bailed. So
hey, you know what? She wanted it. She got it. So
hey, you got to love that when somebody makes it and gets into something that they want to do, and when people want her to come and be part of their thing, that means that somebody's doing something right. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So I hear that you're retiring soon from your.
I am. For 26 and a half years, I have been a law enforcement officer. For 16 of that, I've been a detective, and I am about to retire from that, which is enormously scary, but it's something I've been looking for a while. And for a few years, I've been saying, hey, I can go anytime, and if the right thing comes along, I'm going to jump. And the right thing came along, and I'm jumping. So it's going to be an adventure. It's going to be exciting and scary all at the same time, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Excellent. Well, our other co-host just jumped in right under the nose.
There she is.
Hi, Keisha. Oh, she's driving somewhere.
Yes, I am running late. I'm running late, so I am trying to help.
She's racing to get home to be part of the show.
You're coming in a little choppy. I think she went underneath the bridge.
Yeah, she's in a tunnel or something. She's froze up. She doesn't even know we're talking about her at this point. We can say anything we want.
We can't even read lips.
Speaking sign language.
All right, Keisha, we're going to bring you down just a little so that I can call up Dr. Emily Zarka. Hello, Emily.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
I hope I'm saying your last name right.
You are. Luckily, it sounds exactly how it's spelled.
Oh, fantastic.
Mine does too, but nobody can ever say mine. So, yeah.
What's yours?
It's La Riviere.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, it's pronounced exactly like it's spelled, but if it's got more than 4 letters, people tend to freak out.
People panic 100%.
Yep.
Oh yeah, no, we definitely lost Keisha. That's okay. She'll be back.
She'll be back.
But so I just got word that we're celebrating 30 years for Harry and the Hendersons. It seems weird that are we that old that it's
yes,
been 30
we
years?
Are.
So do you remember watching that movie, Emily?
Not really. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little too young to have seen it.
That's okay. We won't hold that against you. Geek Gumshoe, I'm sure that you've watched it several times.
Actually, it was one of those movies. I watched it when it came out, but I have not revisited it since. Of course, it was made into a TV show as well, which
Yes,
lasted for a little while. But
I remember the TV show.
yeah, I absolutely love John Lithgow. I think he's a very underrated actor. He's one of those guys that can, I have to appreciate an actor that's not afraid to make fun of himself, and he's not afraid to do anything for a laugh. And if you told him that his entire show was going to be him walking around with a lampshade on his head, he would probably do it. But then he can turn around and pick up a role like Trinity on Dexter and be absolutely terrifying at the same time. So
I loved him in Third Rock from the Sun, and then I've seen his other serials roles, like him playing a bad guy in Brain,
Raising Cain, maybe?
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he does awesome as a bad guy and a good guy, and it's like he's just a fantastic actor, and his voiceover work in cartoons and stuff,
And
amazing.
soup commercial.
So okay, Emily, what got you started with Monstrum?
Ooh, a lifelong love of horror, to be honest. I was always that kid secretly watching, the B horror movies with my mom and reading all the spooky stories. And luckily had some awesome professors back in my college days who introduced me to Gothic literature and the horror genre as something that I could actually study. And things sort of spiraled from there. And I was fortunate enough to really find a subject that I love, monsters, particularly the undead. And with a lot of stubbornness and a little bit of luck, Monstrum was born.
I'm a huge fan of zombies myself. Yeah. I got into the Resident Evil games back when they first came out, and I've just been in love with zombies pretty much ever since. So pretty much anything zombie I will watch.
Yes.
So what kind of zombie movies do you enjoy?
Ooh, I actually really do like the Resident Evil franchise.
Okay.
I think there's something a little campy about them that I love, but I think Mila is such a good character in them. And I mean, you can't not love a movie with that crazy laser grid scene cutting people, into little cubes in the first one. And I was hooked on Resident Evil since then, but I think actually my first zombie movie, because this came up when I was filming the Exhumed documentary, which is Monstrum's documentary about zombies. I can't remember if it was either Night of the Living Dead or Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. But those are what started my deep love with zombies. And The Walking Dead actually got me into comics as well. So zombies always have a special place in my heart.
Look, you gotta love Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
Yes.
That movie single-handedly brought Scooby-Doo to a whole new generation and still kept the attention of the people that grew up with the show. So, I mean, I absolutely love that movie.
Yes, and then they kind of rip off cat people in like a weird, which is great. I mean, who doesn't love a werecat, tacked on a spooky
and zombies
island?
In the same movie.
Yes, exactly. It's perfect. I'm surprised they actually haven't tried to reboot Scooby-Doo in a while.
They've done a few iterations of it over the years, and it's always a little bit different. And as they bring it into the new generation, it's always getting a little more edgy, and they're rounding out the characters a little more. I think one of the things that I liked in the original Scooby-Doo series was that you didn't really have a background for the characters. They just showed up, they did what they did, and while it was very formulaic, it worked. And you didn't have to think too hard about the characters and their private lives. And now that they dive so deep into that becomes the story and the mystery becomes secondary. But I loved the fact that, you knew what the outcome was going to be.
Yeah.
But there was a simplicity to it that just worked.
It's kind of that blank, figure that you could put yourself or one of your friends or family member on top of. Yeah, I think there was something very attractive about that. I mean, clearly it worked for me. I was a huge fan.
Yeah, you could relate to one or more of the characters on that show, and you could pick out the people in your friend group and go, well, you're so-and-so and you're so-and-so. And it worked that way. And we didn't have to overthink it. We didn't have to dig too deep into it.
Yeah. Like I love Scooby-Doo. That was one of my favorite cartoons as a kid. I do enjoy some of the movies, and like I'm a huge fan of Elvira. So of course, when she pops in with those cartoons, I'm just like, yes. um, so what else? What other zombie stuff have you guys? Are you guys into?
Ooh.
I like zombie movies that have a soul to them.
Mm-hmm.
Movies like The Girl with All the Gifts,
Mm-hmm.
Maggie. Zombie movies that kind of go beyond just the mob of the undead going around eating people, and goes a little bit more into the heart and soul of the situation. I enjoy that. Now I do like a good zombie mob. I mean, those are fun,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's good to go beyond that and go, okay, what would it actually be like? I actually have a script for a movie called Our Apocalypse, where
Oh.
the zombies are just kind of an annoyance. They're not running everywhere. It's just like, every once in a while you're going to stumble across one while you're trying to load your groceries into the car or something. And, it doesn't have to be something that everything just falls apart and it's post-apocalyptic. Sometimes it's fun to think of the zombies as just kind of being annoying, like a bad neighbor or something.
Yeah.
That reminds me a little bit about Fido, the movie Fido,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
zombies, are basically like pets, which is problematic in a lot of ways considering the history of the zombie, but it's an interesting movie. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend. I
Yeah,
think
kind of
my
like the
favorite,
end of Shaun of the Dead.
yes, exactly. I think my favorite zombie movie of the last 10 years or so would definitely have to be Train to Busan. And I'm actually very irritated that they're going to be remaking it for quote unquote, Western audience in English, when I think there's absolutely no reason to do so. Because I think the first one's a masterpiece, and it kind of, for me, bridges the gap of what would actually happen, while also being violent and bloody and everything I love about zombie movies. But for me, the best zombie content is never about the zombie itself, right? I mean, that's true of so many monsters. It's always about what the zombie shows us. And I read Train to Busan as something about class discrepancy, where you literally have the people from the quote unquote lower levels of the train being blocked by, the people who are supposed to be higher up in society on the other end of the train, and sort of how that works out. So that's probably my favorite zombie movie of the last 10 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's taken this long for somebody to remake it, because it is absolutely at the top of most people's list of the best zombies, the best zombie movies of the last decade. So, with every imported horror movie that's not in the English language, if it's successful, somebody's going to remake it. So I figured this would have happened 5 years ago, but it'll be interesting. I hope they get the right director
I'll watch
for it.
it. Of course. Yeah, of course I'll watch it. Because there's something to be said about adaptation having a value of its own, but I'll be curious to see if they can meet the magic of the original. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. See, and then there's the classics like Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
That will always be like my go-to zombie movie, just to pop in, just if I'm in the mood for a zombie film.
It's a classic for a reason.
Yeah. And I gotta watch it every like on Halloween, like that.
Oh yeah. We all have those movies we have to watch in October. I feel like I have to watch at least one spooky movie every day in October. That's just how I live my life.
But that's not a law.
It should be.
You really should.
I love watching like some of the movies that are coming out now for horror is fantastic. It's definitely getting more and more scary and more gory, but I'm not like I definitely love the jump scares. Oddly enough, like even when playing Resident Evil, I know that there's the scare coming around the corner, and it's like, okay, I just move slowly, and I get scared at the same part every time. But I don't know. There's just something about like The Grudge. Like I my husband will not watch horror movies with me.
Oh, really?
We went and saw The Grudge in theaters, and I witnessed a phenomenon that I had only heard about up until that point. We were watching the movie and I started seeing people getting up and running out of the theater.
Wow.
And that was the kind of thing that you heard of like back in the days of the original Universal movie monsters movies, where people were passing out in the aisles and
Yeah.
people were freaking out. They were getting up and running out. And that movie to me was such and talking about Asian remakes into American films, this was one where I felt like they did it right. But the movie itself I think it was so successful because it played on childhood fears.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the scenes in that movie were something straight out of your childhood fears, something under the bed or under the covers, something on the stairs. And the auditory sounds that you were getting were just overwhelming for some people.
Yeah.
And DL actually had to get up and walk out of the theater at one point because that sound, that little sound was really starting to get to her, and she had to kind of get up, step out for a second, and then come back. But that movie to me was so much fun to watch in a public setting because of the effect that it had on the people in the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was there a movie that you guys, after watching it, you guys kind of kept the lights on in your house for a couple days after, or?
The Grinch was kind of like that.
Yeah.
Mine is way more embarrassing than that, which I'm like ashamed. I've actually never admitted this, but I watched horror and sci-fi stuff since I was a little kid, and a lot of it didn't bother me for some reason. But what actually traumatized me as a child was Don't Look Under the Bed, the Disney movie.
Oh.
Like a Disney Channel original movie. It's not that scary, but there was what I remember. I don't remember anything about the plot. All I remember is that the only way to protect yourself from the boogeyman was to sleep with your covers completely over your head. So I slept with my covers over my head for an embarrassingly long period of time in my life. You know, I was watching all these other things like Salem's Lot and like whatever, and that didn't freak me out. But there was something about that stupid Disney Channel movie that got to me.
Disney had a way of doing that. Like I remember watching Darby O'Gill and the Little People as a little kid, and the Banshees scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, I wish Disney would rewatch that more into horror. Yeah.
That wasn't even really designed to be a horror movie, but the Banshees were just scary as all get out. So,
but Disney toe the line a lot with the introductions of their villains. Like the Ursula one sticks out. The one from the Frog Princess sticks out, whose name is
the Shadow Man.
Yeah, there's some really creepy stuff in Disney that I don't. Which I guess if you look back at Grimm's fairy tales and where some of it's based, makes sense. But Disney should lean more into horror. That's my hot take.
Hey, I feel like if they ever did a straight up horror film, it would probably be horrifying.
Yeah,
Maleficent was pretty on like par with it, and even Cruella. Like, come on, like these villains back in the day were extremely horrifying.
Well, if you remember back in the either late 70s or early 80s, Disney made a sci-fi movie called The Black Hole. It was a direct ripoff of Star Wars, but it contained some absolutely scary scenes. The robot with the spinning blades that would gut people.
Oh my God.
And they didn't show it, but you knew it was happening. And that was one of those movies where the Disney executives kind of started looking at it and going, is this really the direction that we want to go? Because this is a bit on the intense side. And they kind of backed off of that for a while. They didn't do anything else like that for a minute. But, now, of course, with Disney Plus, we're starting to see them experiment a lot more with more adult content. There she is.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
I did not mean to be late.
That's okay.
Family emergency.
Oh no.
Also known as my husband needed food.
That's an emergency.
Like he did looked at me in the eye and he goes, I haven't eaten all day.
Oh no.
I need food.
More.
And I was like, I got my show. And he's like, well, you're going to have to let them know you're going to be a couple minutes late. And I was like, okay. Okay.
He can drive and he has money.
Look, with the
we
lead
were-
in like that,
we
I've
were
got to ask,
out of
what did he have
town.
for dinner?
That was gonna be my question.
Nuggies.
What did you bring?
Nuggies and fries.
Nuggies. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm a good cook.
Wow.
I got myself coffee because life, yo.
All right, we're okay. I guess we shouldn't be plugging where you got the coffee from, but
You can't tell by. Oh wait, you can tell by that side. There we go.
Is
That
it a
looks
place
good.
that you're really familiar with there, Willow?
It looks like a frappuccino from a certain place that has a siren on it. But
Maybe.
I don't know.
No,
I'm
no,
not so
it's
sure.
not actually. It's from a different place because we're too cheap for the other place.
Oh, okay.
Unless I get family discounts, Willow.
I could try.
Okay. We'll work on that. So, guys, I was watching the show because I did not have enough reception to hop on. I tried that. It did not work.
We were there.
Did you guys see all my beautiful faces I was making off screen? Because if not, you missed out. Because I was like,
no, Carl's
Okay.
definitely gonna be the one putting those up later.
thanks, Carl. Yes. So I was listening behind the scenes as much as I could between.
Excellent.
So I'm kind of caught up a little bit. We were talking about scary movies.
Scary
Right.
movies, zombies. You
Yes.
know,
Okay, I love all of those
all the good
things.
stuff.
So
What's your favorite scary movie?
ooh, you know what? My favorite scary movie is probably any of them. No, I love scary movies, but Rose Red.
Okay.
I
There
would
you
go with that one because that one terrified me to no end when I was younger, and now I'm obsessed with it. Like
Now, Rose Red was a miniseries, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
it was,
Thought so.
yeah, but they put it on when I watched it. It was on VHS, and it was like a few hour long VHS,
Right.
and I just sat there and I'd be like, I had nightmares about
Yeah.
the people, the deformed people that were in the movie, had
Mhm.
nightmares, reoccurring nightmares for like most of my childhood. And now I'm like, this is my jam. I love this. Thank you.
It's like now that's what you watch to go to sleep to.
Yeah.
Yes. So House of a Thousand Corpses, I actually did that too. When I was younger, I used to watch that movie to go to sleep. That
Wow.
sounds really weird.
Look, my 16-year-old daughter puts on Saw on DVD and plays that while she goes to sleep. So I can only imagine what her dreams are like.
Well, when you've seen anything enough times, anything can be soothing.
Yes,
That's true.
That is true. By the way, Emily, hi. Nice to meet you. I'm Keisha.
Nice to meet you.
And Keisha
So-
did not bring coffee for everybody. So, yeah, you're on your own.
It's
on that.
okay. I've had enough. But yeah, no. One of the movies that like for some reason, like as a kid, I got scared of the original Mummy movie, and like my sister,
Boris Karloff one?
yes, and my sister clued in on how freaked out I was watching it, and she used to chase me around the house walking like him.
That sounds like a really nice fan. Like,
Yeah, everybody has a
Oh, yeah.
relative that does that.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta love siblings.
yes.
So I was tortured by both my siblings pretty much all my life, but you know what? I love horror movies now. My sister put up a poster of Freddy Krueger right above my bed.
That's such a nice sister.
It's pretty bad.
So I have a question about Monstrum.
Yeah.
I always wonder when I see a program like that, was that your brainchild,
Yes.
or was that something that like a group put together and you became the face for it? How did that come about?
No, that is 100% me. That is my Frankensteinian creation. So I actually
Nice.
pitched Monstrum to PBS. Lucky enough, they gave me, 15 minutes, and that they were looking for humanities content for their online, sort of side, which they didn't really have a whole lot of yet at PBS Digital Studios. So I kind of came in at the right time, but I think what made it successful was obviously my PhD in Gothic literature, and monsters helped. But I'm just so passionate about the subject. And I do remember that I pitched that I want to do for monsters what Anthony Bourdain did for food. And
Nice.
try to show it as this way of people to actually talk to one another in smart ways that are approachable and not just make it all about the scary stuff. Although, that being said, whenever I can get a little extra blood splatter in our illustrations, I'm all about it. But
What's life without a little blood splatter, right?
Exactly. No, I'm lucky enough to be the creator, writer, and host of Monster.
What was the first topic?
The first one we ever did was dragons, European dragons specifically. So Monstrum actually evolved as part of PBS had a project in 2018 called The Great American Read that was really about inspiring people to read the same books or the certain list of books and vote on their favorite. And so Monstrum actually started on Facebook Watch, I believe. So we started with dragons and some of the other classics like Frankenstein's monster. And then I've always, since the very beginning of the show, I wanted to make sure that we were shedding light on cultures and monsters that weren't as prevalent in global popular culture, and particularly for Western audiences. I wanted to do something different. And with that being one of the mission statements, when we got the YouTube channel, I just dove right into doing some of the more obscure things. And it's evolved since then. And I'm just really fortunate that so many people have responded to Monstrum as well as they have.
Well, now PBS is not. It's far from your traditional network setting. So, did they exercise a certain level of control over what you were covering, or did you just come to them and say, "Okay, the next episode is going to be this," and you just kind of delivered the product?
I have the absolute pleasure and privilege of working with my production company, Spotson, who I film with and who's sort of my editing team and my creative team. And they're located in Austin, Texas. And PBS set me up with them. Thankfully, they're lovely. They're like my work family. I appreciate them so much. And I really would say Monstrum is a collaborative effort. Yes, I'm the one that usually comes up with maybe the initial list of monster topics that I want to cover for, the next shoot or the season. But we work together a lot, and we have an amazing illustrator, Samuel Allen, who myself and my creative director and director David, we work with him to make sure that we're getting, what we feel like are accurate illustrations of the monsters, or at least that they're in the spirit of the show and the original source content. So I do have quite a bit of creative control, which I'm very fortunate about. But a lot of the magic from the show comes from all these different voices that we're adding to it, including bringing in experts besides myself into the episodes, which is something we started doing more heavily in the last couple seasons. That's been really beneficial as well.
So have you ever had one that they said, no, we're not going to go that way?
No, definitely not. Again, I think after the first season of Monstrum was so successful, they kind of trusted me and trusted the team that what we're doing is working. So for my methodology going into it, I try to balance, again, a more popular monster or more well-known monster with something that might be more obscure to a broader population. We try to balance that out. I try to balance out country of origin or even continent of origin, which doesn't always work out, but we try to do a global view of monsters. I mean, that's what the show is really all about. So I thought I'm actually the one who usually says no to things more than they do. Zombies being one of them, actually, for a long time. PBS wanted me to do because PBS wanted me to do zombies forever, and I kept telling them, no, it's too big of a topic to just do in one 12-minute episode. But there's a reason for my stubbornness, because that led to the 3-episode special online series and then the hour-long national broadcast documentary, Exhumed: A History of Zombies. So I stuck to my guns with that one, and it paid off. And yeah, I've just been lucky so far, I guess.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta push something to the side for now and bring it out when the time is right, and when you know that the formula that you've got in mind for it is actually going to work and make it interesting. I mean, when The Walking Dead came out, zombies were everywhere. Everybody was doing zombie movies, zombie TV shows. You had Walking Dead ripoff shows like Z Nation and stuff like that. And,
all of them beautiful, by the way.
What was that?
I said all of them are beautiful, by the way.
Absolutely. They all have their own place, for sure. I mean, one of my favorite things to do on a day off when there's nobody around is just sit around and watch bad zombie movies on Netflix. I mean, sometimes there's nothing
Dollar
more fun
Tree zombie movies.
Oh my gosh, I haven't gone down that yet.
Oh my
That
gosh,
sounds
I
like a
love
show
going
in
to-
itself.
I go to Dollar Tree and I specifically look at for horror movies just to see. I found this zombie movie. Oh my gosh, it looks like a bunch of kids basically filmed it in their backyard. And it was just, mwah, it was beautiful. It was
Do you
the
remember what it
worst thing
was?
I've ever seen. I have the DVD somewhere around here. I'll have to find it and get you guys the name. But
Okay.
I was like,
I don't think I've ever seen a horror movie at my local Dollar Tree ever.
I call them Dollar Tree gems because me and my husband quite literally were like, what are we gonna do? And we're gonna watch a really awful Dollar Tree movie and we're going to tear it apart and say how much we actually loved it because it was so awful. That is what we do for our date nights.
It's like your own version of Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Like I'm sure the last one we watched actually used ketchup for blood. It was beautiful. Not gonna lie. I was like, it makes me want to lick the blood, but yes.
Yes.
He's a dipping French fries in somebody's
Just
face.
start going up and dipping French fries into zombie brains. Like, this is delicious. But yes, if you guys have not done that, do that. Go to $1.25 Tree and get you a $1.25 movie.
It just doesn't roll off the tongue, does
No.
it?
It does not.
It really doesn't.
But
Hey,
y'all
Willow,
need to
I'm
do that
seeing a
'cause it's
bunch of
fantastic.
comments over here. If we wanna
Yeah. Okay. So
Oh,
take a
yeah.
second.
we got our usual suspects, but we have so hi Donna. We got Carl in here. And then we got Dan.
Oh, it says anything that anything that gives Keisha nightmares is gotta be really scary.
It's like, sign me up for that.
So Carl had stalked your videos there.
Oh, thanks,
Emily.
Carl.
So
I'll
You got a
take
new
it. I
fan.
appreciate it.
It's
Thank
nothing
you.
creepy, I'm sure.
Eh,
he'll just give you good reviews throughout your whole repertoire. So
all
does.
content just feeds the algorithm, so go for it.
Even creepy comments help.
Yes, absolutely.
Dan says hi. Looking forward to the show. Eli's in the chat as well.
Eli's always in the chat.
True.
Keisha, you were in the chat for a little bit there.
I was trying to stay I
She-
am never late for a show, and so my brain was freaking out. I was like, I feel so guilty. I was
It's like, I'm going to be here even if it's just in text.
that is exactly what I was doing. So I have like the anxiety level of me. So I was like, okay, I have to be there. I really have to be there. So
The anxiety level is 0 to Keisha.
yes. And Keisha's somewhere up like 200% probably.
We have
Hanging
a
on the
really
red
good
side.
question in
Yeah.
the chat. Is
yeah,
there a
George.
subject on Monstrum that you haven't covered yet?
Ooh, that's a really good question. My biggest one that we have covered was the Manananggal, the Filipino blood-sucking, viscera-eating, like self-segmenting vampire. So that was the
That
first
sounds like
sort
it
of.
would be my best friend.
She's delightful, one of my favorites of all time, and that was sort of probably our craziest monster that we had done at the time. That was either in
Fun
the
at
first or
parties,
second
too.
season. That's one of my favorites, but we do have a couple that I should be filming before the end of the year that are going to be some of my favorites I've been pushing for a while.
Spoilers.
Spoilers, one of them hopefully will be Tiamat, the mother of monsters, who kind of is a little bit into
Nice.
more mythology stuff, but I've been wanting to do that queen for a really long time. And then I'm excited to do also an episode coming up on Siren Head, and getting a little into modern
that
digital
thing,
folklore.
The 3 sirens.
The 2 sirens, yeah.
2 sirens.
Yeah, I love the
thought it was
imagery
3.
on those.
Yeah, it's
'Cause my kids watch videos with those things
Yes.
all the time, and I know nothing about them.
yeah, it got really big on TikTok, which is something that I explore just as a scholar, is this idea of like digital folklore and how social media is kind of changing how we tell scary stories today. So hopefully that'll be a nice, creepy one.
Yes.
What's your holy grail topic? What's the one thing that you haven't done yet that it's just not, maybe it's not the right time, or maybe you're just busy doing research so you can do it justice?
I think the holy grail that we did thankfully cover was zombies. That was really a labor of love, that project, in so many ways, and so special to me, not just because of my own roots with zombies, but because of the people we talked to. And I think on a similar vein, we've done a Dracula episode, but I would like to explore the origins of vampires in general as I see it. That's actually where my monograph, my academic book that hopefully I'll have good news to share about soon, is largely about. And a lot of my more traditional academic research is looking back at when we decided to make vampires like a thing.
Did anybody
literature.
tell her yet that I'm a vampire?
No.
Yeah, we haven't broached that yet.
Okay, we're
Okay.
good then.
I'm in great company.
I'm
Perfect.
always in the dark, no matter what time of day it is. So everybody calls me the vampire. So
You're not nursing your bird, so yeah, your lights off in the background.
Unfortunately,
You have a bird?
I actually have a couple right now. So I had a pet owl this morning.
Just this
We could go
morning?
way off topic here. I'm a huge bird lady.
Okay.
So it was a great horned owl, I believe they're called. It got into my chicken coop and ate one of my turkeys and one of my guineas. But it was a cute, and we named it Love. So we got
After
it out
it
and
butchered
set it
your
free.
animals, name it Love. I mean, that works. So.
I told my daughter it was because it loved our turkey Ani so
To
much
death.
that it ate it.
Loved it too hard.
Oh.
So I also
It's a
have
stalker.
behind me. I have a cedar waxwing.
Okay. Mhm.
So it was injured on the road, and I was like, "Come here, I love you. Get better." So I'm currently nursing it back to life right now. It's almost ready to get let go and be free. I did get a baby. I believe it was a robin, or no, it was a sparrow.
Okay.
Last
They're great
week,
eaters.
but
Yep.
it was only a day old, or it was barely a day old when it fell out of the nest. And I was feeding it. I fed it for 3 days until it decided to crawl out of the nest and break its neck.
Oh.
Poor thing.
I fed that thing every half hour for 3 days, guys.
Oh, jeez.
And then it went
Welcome
and
to
hurt
the
itself,
Happy Stories Hour.
and I was like, "Ugh."
No, I used to I volunteered for years at a local wildlife rescue taking care of orphaned and abandoned baby birds. So I know the trials and tribulations and having to feed baby
It's so
hummingbirds the
sad.
size of jelly beans every 15 minutes, a single drop of nectar. And
Oh my gosh. It was crazy. And then when it passed away, my daughter was heartbroken.
of course.
So we had a funeral for it, like a normal person.
Yeah.
Duh. But yes, so we've had a lot of birds going on lately. So Emily, if you ever want to talk birds, let me know, because I have guineas,
Anytime.
turkeys, chickens, ducks. I live on a farm.
Okay. I just
So
love birds. I only have one. I have a cockatiel, but
Aw.
he's-
My in-laws collect birds, so they have cockatiels, parakeets.
Mhm.
They have doves.
Yep.
They basically they have like a bajillion finches. Any bird you can get, they have.
Yeah, I grew up kind of breeding birds like finches and stuff for fun with my dad, and like with an aviary and all that stuff. So
Oh, that's so
interesting.
cool.
yeah, we haven't done a lot of bird monsters on Monstrum, but when I can do them, if it's the griffin or
was gonna
something, I get
say.
really excited. Yeah,
My brain
Yeah,
was like,
Carl
"What
was just
bird
saying-
monsters?"
The Griffin program was touching, Carl said.
Oh,
So
thanks, Carl.
Aw.
Yeah, which apparently more people are into griffins than I thought, but I think also no one picked up on some of my sarcasm in that episode, which is fine. No one did in sharks either. I'm not funny on command. This is something we joke about with my production team and I all the time. They'd be like, "Oh, let's put jokes in," and I was like, "Let's not," because I'm not an actress. But my weirdness,
If it makes you feel any better, I would be the same way. Also,
Yeah.
I have very dark humor, so
Yeah.
people would be like, "Wait a second, is she really talking about eating somebody's insides, or is that a joke?" It's probably a joke,
probably, but you
unless
I
it's
hope it's a
vegan.
joke.
Unless it's vegan, okay. I'm a vegan vampire,
Vegan zombies.
technically vegetarian vampire, but still.
like Banicula.
Is that a real thing?
Banicula, yeah, it's a child's
Yeah.
book or like a young, I guess, like a children's book.
I take notes, so it's Banicula.
Banicula.
Yeah, he like sucks the juice out of
UNNICULA.
carrots and
Yeah,
stuff.
he
So.
drains the color and the juice out of veggies.
Oh,
He's delightful.
Oh, I'm 100% looking this up. I'm a book person. So yes, this is going to be my new favorite voice.
and Emily, don't feel bad about going off topic on this show because we
have no topic. People will actually tell you in the comments. They're like, "Hey, there's the train." Nope.
Sorry, my fault. I love birds so much. It's birds and zombies. Those are sort of my two big ones.
The last person I got into a bird contest with was actually Kim Rhodes. We had her on a show for a thing we did a couple months ago, and Kim Rhodes is she has a whole murder of birds on the top of her building, and she hand feeds them. And so she was like, birds, and I was like, birds. And then it progressed from there.
Spiraled from there.
Yes. So I mean, birds is a common topic.
DL asks, would gargoyles count as a bird?
Ooh, I would say no. We've done Monstrum has had a gargoyle episode before, and gargoyles as these like scary monsters who could do things like fly and move around is actually pretty modern, largely speaking. So I think if you're thinking of gargoyles as birds, you're probably thinking of the animated series, because those ones are all winged, which is great. But no, I would not consider gargoyles a bird. I would consider the phoenix. Phoenixes obviously would be birds. Griffins, I could make an argument for a griffin being a bird. I'd be more inclined to say something like a siren is actually a bird.
Thunderbirds?
Thunderbirds for sure, yeah.
Okay. I never thought of the siren being a bird, but that's actually that could be a good argument.
Mm-hmm. Well, some sirens actually, I mean, they lived on these islands, and there's a lot of, I feel like, mix up between sirens and harpies, and they've kind of blurred over time. But many of the original siren stories talk about clawed feet and winged sirens, not necessarily, the more mermaid type that we're used to.
Okay.
Fun facts.
We're always good with fun facts here.
Love it.
We love learning random things.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So
that's why I stalked your show.
Perfect. Love to hear it.
I think it was like when we were doing the Irish monster show.
Okay.
We all picked our own little thing, and I went down the rabbit hole with your show, and I'm just like,
the Yeti hole. The Yeti hole. We call it the Yeti hole here. We actually have a hashtag. It's the Flaming Yeti hole.
That's really funny.
Flaming Yeti hole.
Yes. So that is the actual alcohol beverage that transpired from the Yeti hole.
Oh, okay.
So that was from the Yeti episode. We did that last year, didn't we? The Yeti episode
around winter time, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So but I went down the Yeti hole of one of the cryptids we were doing. Now yes, we get some dark places. Like we'll sit there and we'll like, oh, this simple subject, and then we're like, did you know that this is also related to that, and this happens, and then it just gets worse and worse, and it doesn't.
I love that. I call that a research hole. When I write my academic stuff, I always have a million footnotes because there's so many cool things I just want to put in there, but aren't necessarily relevant. But I have to fit in, so I understand the urge of the research hole.
Yes, DL. Yes. All you need to be on fire. Speaking of which, I don't know if you just saw me. I got distracted for a second. Super normal for me. But my husband came in and he had this look on his face. And I was like, everything good? And he goes, if you consider 14-foot flames okay, then yes, everything's fine. And I was like, okay, we're good.
Oh.
What are the 14-foot flames coming from is where the issue lies.
I don't know. Somewhere in our yard, I guess. We're fine.
Okay. I
As
can't
long
think of
as you
many
guys
scenarios where that kind of flame is a good thing.
Are you burning leaves or like?
We don't burn leaves. We leave those for the animals.
They have a burning Yeti hole in the backyard.
Yes. That's what's going on here. It's the burning Yeti hole. It's not
So you
flaming
mentioned
anymore.
the
It's
burning
burning
Yeti hole is a drink. What goes into a burning Yeti hole?
So, okay, this sounds horrible every time I say it. My
That makes me even
12-year-old
more interested.
My 12-year-old is the one that helped me think of this drink. I don't actually drink alcohol, okay?
And a
But
12-year-old came up with this?
he doesn't drink alcohol either, okay? Just throwing that out
12-year-old
there.
bartender. Here you go.
But he said that a flaming Yeti hole has to consist of several things. It has to have ice, of course. The liquid has to be blue, but the blue can float on top of the other drink on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to have a rim around the top of, I don't remember, like something hot or something. And then you have to be able to set it on fire.
It's got alcohol.
So there has to be booze in it. Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, we have Carl. Yes.
Okay, so it's a concept, is what you're telling me. It's not actually a drink.
Yes.
Okay, so
We
we're gonna have to come up
actually
with
did
this.
do the drink on the show. On a different show. We were on a different show, but we were trying to think of the drink, and one of our other friends put together the drink, but it didn't quite set on fire like we wanted to. So we just put a candle next to it and called it good because we didn't want to set her apartment on fire.
Of it to light it off. So.
Yeah.
No, you got to do something like Everclear, something with really high alcohol content.
It was just
Look,
you
I'm sitting
guys-
here drinking out of a tiki mug tonight, so
We'll
I'm
work on
fascinated
this.
by this concept. We're gonna have to make this thing happen.
Yes.
So.
We will work on this because it needs to be in like every bar around the world.
Check.
And as a Mormon that doesn't go to bars, y'all will have to tell me if you see it there because
we will create this drink and we will drink it on air.
And we will
Yes.
set it on fire on the air. How about that?
great, we're setting things on fire. So Emily, how do you enjoy the show so far?
Love it.
I forgot to mention that, the show is more tongue-in-cheek and not to be taken serious.
I mean, we do serious topics, but then once the serious topics are over, we're like, oh gosh, fire
else
has
is
been
up?
here. Carl said maybe next Friday night, Keisha. Yes, Carl.
Woohoo!
We're gonna make this drink. So, and did you post the other comment he posted up there? He said another typical cryptid crunch off the rails down the Yeti hole, then a huge flames in the yard. Yep, it's Sunday evening.
It's a Sunday night at Keisha's house.
You know what? Honestly, yes. I did not think that all the things that happened today were going to happen. So we're going to, yeah. I need a
Just
nap.
go with it. Oh.
All right, so the topic that we originally had planned before we got word that Emily was going to join us was dreams.
Yes.
I know a lot of us have had some of the weirdest dreams over the last little while. Geek Gumshoe, what, if you can remember, what's the weirdest dream you've ever had?
Wow, I'm 53 years old and I still dream about being in college and not going to any of my classes, and it's the last day of exams and I'm supposed to be there. I don't know why I still have those, because it doesn't even make any sense, but it happens every once in a while. I'll have that dream that it's the exam day and I don't even know where the classroom is, much less
I
any of the
hate those
topic.
dreams.
Yeah.
As my Keisha level anxiety, those dreams are the worst. Like, I've had dreams where I try to use GPS to get to class and I'm still lost.
Oh, no.
I hate them.
Keisha, what about you? Weird dreams in the last little
So,
while? Or
if you guys did not notice already, I have lots of weird stuff going on in my life, so depends on if it's real or a dream. But constantly. I think I showed it last week or the last episode we did. I keep a dream journal of almost every dream that I remember. So I have binders full of my dreams. If y'all ever want to go down that Yeti hole, let me know and I will just send you the PDF. Because it gets crazy. But I'm going to go with a kind of, this is an Emily dream, okay? But My most reoccurring dream is actually about zombies.
Oh,
So
interesting.
when I was little, we all lived with my grandma because I have a very big family and we all lived in like a 2-bedroom house growing up. So like we lived several people in a bedroom. And we had these bunk beds and it would be me, my brother, my sister, a couple cousins and stuff like that sleeping in the room. And I remember a constant dream that my like zombies came and they started chasing after us, and I was like on the top bunk fighting them off, trying to protect my sister. I don't know what happened to my brother. I probably fed him to the zombies, honestly.
He's one of the zombies. He's good.
He's probably the zombie now. But then I ended up jumping out of the window and we start running, and I get to this fence and I got to climb the fence to get away from the zombies, and I'm like trying to fight off these zombies. And I had that reoccurring dream from the time I was like 5 until now. I still have that dream. So I guess I either like my sister because I didn't feed her to the zombies or something. Either that or I just didn't think she could fight for herself. Sorry, Tasha, if you're watching this. I love you and happy birthday. But yeah. So that was my reoccurring dream, and it still happens to this day.
Oh, wow.
How about you, Emily? Any weird dreams that you've had? Or
Yes. I'm like, yeah, of course. No, I've always had extremely vivid dreams since I was a kid. So I remember one of the first ones I remember was, ironically, a Yeti, the abominable snowman, was chasing me down a mountain, and I was terrified, and a giant penguin on skis came and scooped me up and saved me.
Can we make this movie?
Yes.
Was it
Which was
Pingu?
ridiculous. No, it makes zeros. I don't even know. That's probably the first dream I remember. I do also keep a dream journal of sorts, but only for the weirdest ones that feel like they're more story ideas. I should also say that I dream almost exclusively in third person. So I dream like I'm watching movies, even if it's like myself. So some of my weirder ones, I had one about werewolves that involved like ritual tattooing. I have a lot of stuff with like magic where I like have magic powers, or like maybe I don't. A lot of serial killer stuff. People always ask me like, "Oh, do you get scared of the monsters that you do on Monstrum?" And I really don't, ironically. I think the more I learn about it and do the research and kind of, find all the different theories as to why it exists, that takes away, I guess, a little bit of the fear, which is not the worst thing. But
wait, is that why I'm not afraid of anything? It's because I just learned too much about them, and then I'm like, oh, they're kind of cute.
I think it can go either way, right? It's like, oh, there are some things though that do still freak me out, even though I don't dream about them. Like the Kraken, giant. I think that there are giant squid that we can't see, and they freak me out so much.
Wasn't I supposed to marry that? I believe we have somebody actually. I think it was Carl. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he actually photoshopped me and the Kraken together as a couple.
How very
down the aisle.
My mind goes a couple of different places with that one. Cthulhu and then also hentai, but okay.
That sounds like a TLC show waiting to happen right there.
You know what? I can see that. Yes. Let's make it happen. I don't think PBS would go for that though.
I want to marry the Kraken.
But yeah, I think I said something about I loved him or something like that, and that I would definitely want to meet him. And the marriage of the Kraken and Keisha. Yeah, so it was the Kraken. There is photos of it online.
And those are forever.
Yes, there. I also supposedly I found love with Mothman. We also had one of our fans, not mentioning any names. I married Mothman. So thank you to our followers for all of those lovely pictures, by the way.
For making you marry cryptids. Perfect.
That's true.
Oh no.
But y'all keep talking about these dream journals. I've been watching the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, and I just feel like that dream journal would show up in court at some point. Well, this is what you dreamed about on this date. Hey, you want to explain that? No, I really don't. I don't want to talk about it.
Do you really want me to explain that? Because
oh man, I'm like to explain what dreams mean to me just is so bizarre because I've had this one dream where that is so cute.
I love it.
He wants to marry you, Keisha.
I'm down.
I was waiting for our bus, and as I was waiting, I guess like I was already pregnant or something, and my stomach just kept going bigger and bigger, and it was like an alien trying to push its way out. You can actually see like the hand.
I love
and
those
the
dreams.
head, and and trying to get people to help me, and people kept walking by or running away. And I'm like, okay, so I looked up what the dream meant just because it was so bizarre. And apparently it was a project that I was taking on that was bigger than I should have, that I needed to on my own, take on my own. I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Look, I've seen that movie and I know how it ends. You've been on your own. So.
Yeah, but my subconscious, it could have told me that in a different way.
I mean, I'm no psychologist, but I'm pretty sure that dream interpretation is like controversial anyway. It's more about what it means to you than there being some kind of standard thing. Although I do have a lot of dreams where my teeth are not falling out, but they're loose.
Oh, I hate those.
Oh, yeah.
And it's awful because I know they're going to fall out.
Are we good?
Yes, I do that all the time.
I'm like, they're still there, right? Okay.
That and I have dreams too where I have like a mouthful of gum and it's like my entire mouth is full of it and I'm trying to pull it out and I can't get the gum out of my mouth.
Oh. You know what?
Yeah,
I had that
bizarre.
Dream too. But
really?
I didn't think it was gum. I thought it was something else. But it just doesn't end. And then
you can't ever get it out of there. It's just like your entire mouth is full of it and you pull it and pull it and pull it.
My teeth.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting there and I'm like, wait a second, why is this not coming out? By the way, Carl, I can't wait to see all of the beautiful screenshots you're going to take of tonight's show. So thank you in advance.
I just hope that there's some psychologist out there that's going to like message us and go, here's what your dream about the gum thing is about.
Yeah.
Help us out a little bit. Give us some free advice.
Free advice, psychological help. That one might be good. We need
maybe it's my dreams going, you need to shut up sometimes.
Yeah.
No, never.
All right. So my last question for the evening is what everybody has their own particular circle of hell. Mine, for some reason, is timers that go off, and I can't find out where they are. I work at a Starbucks, and there's timers going off almost every few minutes, and I hate the sound of timers going off. So yeah, that would definitely be my circle of hell.
So I have really, if you guys can't tell, I have ADHD, like hardcore. And so in order to keep my ADHD in check, I have timers set like almost every hour of the day, every half hour, with reminders of what I'm supposed to be doing, because I do not remember even if I do the same thing every day. So your hell is literally my daily life.
Oh my God. I that would drive me insane.
Oh yeah. So what about you, Emily?
Oh, that's a hard one. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people leave cabinet doors or drawers open. So that happening continuously, me closing them and that still not working would probably be up there. But this probably makes a lot of sense given that I'm a professor and a YouTube educator, but probably talking and no one listening to me for like the rest of eternity. Like no one just hears me forever would be awful.
Oh yeah. Oh God. I hate that. I could literally be talking to someone at work and they'll just be like, they'll walk away and just like, and I'm talking to myself.
Just that for the rest of your life. Actually, for eternity, because it'd be hell. So just that forever would be.
Y'all, honestly, the silence that I would get from that sounds beautiful. I think it's from having kids and a husband. Like my brain is like, wait a second. You know, for me, it doesn't sound too bad. Geek.
Waiting in a line that never moves.
Ooh.
Oh.
The post-COVID society has made this such a living hell for me. I can't tell you how many times I've gone someplace and just been stuck in a line that seems like a great cosmic joke. I mean, it seems like it's formulated deliberately just to drive me insane. You get in a drive-through line someplace and it never moves, or you're stuck in that line at Walmart that never wants to go anywhere. And that to me is the seventh level of hell, is just being in that position where you don't know when it's going to move. You can't figure out why it won't move, but it's just not going anywhere. And that to me is just the epitome of insanity and the thing that drives me the craziest. And I feel sometimes like I'm looking around going, am I dead?
Guys, I
Am
feel
in
like
hell?
I'm broken.
Did something happen? I don't know it.
I feel like I'm broken because honestly, like when I'm at the store, okay, so when I'm at the store and that happens to me, I'm one of those people that I've already been waiting in line for an hour, but hey, you can go in front of me. And then I just use it as meditation time. Also might be because I'm of my family and quietness. But
yeah, that's not me turning around to the person that just walked up behind me going, you need to get out of this line now. Or you still can.
Run away while you have a
Run
choice.
away.
Okay, so guys, I don't know what my level of hell is. Oh my gosh. Guys, find something for me to hate. Maybe it's just my anxiety. Like, because I have anxiety about everything. So like I'm kind of constantly already in that state. So maybe that's why I'm just not. I'm like, okay.
So maybe that would be your hell then, is
Maybe
not
you're
having
already
anxiety
in
at
hell.
all.
You know what? I make that joke all the time. Maybe that's where I am. So no, actually I love my life. I have a great life. But actually, Carl, yes, I looked at the comments. I want like 10 more children, not even joking. So that to me is not, no, I'm okay with that. Maybe losing my animals, because that is a constant thing I have to live with on a farm. Is since most farms are like they farm animals to eat and stuff, I'm like, those are all my babies. So I give them all like funerals and everything. Every one of my animals has a name. So maybe if I was constantly losing those, that'd be awful.
So Keisha is like hell for the devil. He's like constantly throwing things at her. She's like, I'm cool with that. It's okay.
Not
Don't worry about it.
okay. So you guys, that's like the most seriously thing I've heard all week. Because like this week, I pulled a muscle in my foot and I couldn't walk for the last week. And I'm like, you know what? I got this. I had a family member pass away, and I'm like, you know, I got this. I had something get in and eat a bunch of my bunnies and my turkey and my guinea, and I'm like, okay, I got this. So yeah, maybe that's what it is. I'm just put out there to see if the devil can.
You're testing Lucifer.
I'm testing him. It's okay. I'm winning. Oh, by the way, Carl is the psychologist, so we just need to talk to him after the show. One of our viewers is a psychologist. He worked in psychology for a really long time. So, yeah.
So maybe we shouldn't be airing our dirty laundry here.
Oh no, he already psychoanalyzes me to like constantly, and I love it.
Go ahead.
What's the next thing for Monstrum? What are we looking forward to coming out next?
Oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. I'm trying to think off the top of my head yes. Our next one is actually we're going to have a collaboration with another show called Subcultured. We're looking at alien abduction and greys.
Yes.
Big greys. Nice. Yeah. We've done Martians before, but we haven't done greys, so that's coming up next on Monstrum.
Nice.
Very
I'm
cool.
looking forward to that. All right, so it's 5 minutes past the hour. I guess we should say goodbye, but I really don't want to.
That's
You
okay.
can just move in
Emily,
and stay.
Emily, if you would like to stay, we quite literally talk for like an hour after. No, but so yeah, Willow.
So okay, where can we find you, Geek Gumshoe, on social media?
I am on YouTube and on the Instagram at Geek Gumshoe. You can just kind of go look for me there and find me. Hopefully, we will have some new case files of the Geek Gumshoe episode coming out very soon for the Back of the Cereal Box Network. So look for that coming before too much longer.
Yay.
And that's about it for me.
All right. Keisha, where can we find you? And how's your book sales going, by the way?
So
Let's promote that book.
Since we always plug. So I wrote a bookie book with words.
Congratulations.
So if you guys like murder and cute dogs, read this. Is that not how I'm supposed to plug that?
I'm gonna play the video for your book.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, all right. And
Okay.
special thanks to Carl Witzman for
The book cover.
the
He
book
did
cover.
a wonderful job. Yes. But yes, if you guys want to find me anywhere, you can pretty much like find my entire existence online. So you can look up either Keisha Acuff or Acuff Creations, and I'm on most major platforms. I also just started a new TikTok where you can watch all of my cute animals. That's it.
Aw.
Oh, I also post videos of my flowers and trees. So if you guys are into that thing, then that's where to go.
And if you need to learn how to drive the devil crazy, just follow
Also
Keisha.
that, yes. Follow me. Willow, where can we find
All right,
you?
so I'm all over social media. I actually just got myself a TikTok that I've been using a little bit more frequently lately than Instagram. Weird. But yeah, no, you can definitely find me Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and yeah, I even have a Twitch account, so that I'll broadcast on once in a blue moon. So
I have a Twitch too. It's just in this eye though.
I'm also on Twitter, but I don't use Twitter very often because it's literally shouting out to the void of people that
I love my void. Thank you.
Nobody really comments on my YouTube.
Mine either. I have over 2,000 followers on Twitter, and if I post something, it's like nothing. So
just listen to crickets for a while.
I really love my void. I tweet out to my void every day.
All right. So you guys, okay. So you guys can find me on Wednesdays with Heather Bador. I'm not sure what our subject will be this week, but yeah, tune in Wednesday. Find out all the happenings that are happening in our crazy lives. Thank you for joining us on Cryptid Crunch, and Dr. Emily Zarka. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome to join us anytime.
Oh, thank you.
Just crash our party.
Until then.
All right, you guys have a great night. Peace.
Bye, y'all.